Your paycheck hits the account on a Friday, and within 48 hours, it's basically gone. Rent skims off the top, the grocery app skims another chunk, and whatever's left feels like it's daring you to do something smart with it. So you open an app, you see Invest, you tap it, and you throw money at the first shiny thing you recognize, usually a stock some guy on the internet swore would 10x. That's not investing. That's gambling with extra steps and a nicer interface. Here's the thing nobody tells you. It's not just about where you put your money, it's about the order you put it in. Sequence. Step 1 before step 2 before step 3. Because skipping ahead is how people end up investing while simultaneously paying 24% interest on a credit card, which is the financial equivalent of bailing water out of a boat with a hole you haven't patched yet. So let's patch the hole first. Step 1 is the emergency fund, and I want you to stop thinking of it as savings and start thinking of it as insurance you sell yourself. 3 to 6 months of expenses sitting in a boring, liquid, slightly embarrassing savings account, earning basically nothing exciting, because the entire point is that it's not supposed to be exciting. Picture it as a fire extinguisher mounted on the wall of your finances. You don't look at it every day, you don't brag about it at parties, but the one time your car transmission dies or you get laid off, that extinguisher is the only thing standing between inconvenient month and selling your investments at a loss to cover rent. And that's the real reason this comes first. Without it, every market dip turns into a forced sale. Say the market drops 20% the same month your water heater explodes. Without an emergency fund, you're not investing anymore, you're liquidating. You're a forced seller in a temporary downturn, which is the single most expensive way to lose money in this entire game. The rule is almost insultingly simple. You can't build a house on a foundation you haven't poured yet. Right after that foundation comes the thing most people get backwards entirely, employer match. Employer match, the closest thing the financial world offers to free money. And somehow people still leave it on the table like it's a coupon they forgot to clip. If your job offers a 401k match, that's your company saying, put in $1, we'll put in $1. And not doing it is the equivalent of your boss handing you a bonus check and you mailing it back unopened. Contribute up to the match. Not $1 more yet, not $1 less. Just enough to trigger it. That's it. That's the whole move. Let's do the math, because the math is almost comically lopsided. Say you make $50,000 a year, and your company matches 100% up to 5%. That's $2,500 of your money turning into $5,000 instantly, before the market does anything at all. No fund manager, no risk, no timing, just a 100% return the second it lands. You will never find that deal again in your investing life, ever. Treat it like the one coupon code that actually works. Now, and this is where people panic. What about debt? Here's the dry, unsexy truth. Not all debt is the villain your group chat makes it out to be. There's toxic debt and there's tolerable debt. And confusing the two is how people delay investing for a decade out of misplaced guilt. Toxic debt is anything above roughly 7-8% interest, credit cards, certain personal loans, debt that compounds against you faster than the market reliably compounds for you. Tolerable debt is your 4% mortgage or your federal student loan sitting quietly at 5%, debt that isn't actively setting your money on fire. Picture toxic debt as a leaky faucet dripping into your savings bucket faster than you can fill it. You can pour money into investments all day, but if there's a 24% APR credit card dripping underneath, you are mathematically losing the race before it starts. Let's say you owe $5,000 on a card at 22% interest. That's over $1,100 a year in interest, guaranteed, no market required, while the stock market merely hopes to average around 7 to 10%. Pay off the leak before you fill the bucket. Here's the rule worth tattooing somewhere private. Match then murder the debt, in that exact order. Because free money and guaranteed losses don't wait for each other. Once the leak's sealed, it's time to talk about where the real long-term growth lives: tax-advantaged accounts. Tax-advantaged accounts, the part of investing where the government of all entities actually hands you a break, and most people don't even open the envelope. Picture two buckets sitting side by side, one labeled Roth, one labeled traditional, and the government standing there saying, "Pick one. I'll either tax you now or tax you later. Your choice, but I am getting paid eventually." Traditional accounts give you a tax deduction today and tax you on withdrawals in retirement. Roth accounts tax you today and let everything grow completely untouched after that. No taxes on the growth, no taxes when you pull it out. Same destination, different toll booth. Here's the mechanic most people skip. After your employer match, before anything else, max out an IRA if you can, $7,000 a year as of now, because that money grows shielded from taxes the entire time it's invested. Think of a regular brokerage account as a greenhouse with the roof left open. Rain gets in, sun gets in, but so does every tax bill along the way. A tax-advantaged account is that same greenhouse with the roof sealed shut. Same plant, same sunlight, but nothing leaks out and nothing gets skimmed off the top every single year. Let's run the numbers, because they're almost unfair. Invest $500 a month for 30 years at a 7% average return. In a taxable account, taxes nibble away at your dividends and gains along the way, shaving real chunks off your final number. In a Roth IRA, that same $500 a month grows to roughly $566,000, and you keep every cent of it, tax-free, untouched, no asterisk. It's not a rounding error. That's a down payment on a house the IRS doesn't get to touch. After maxing tax-advantage space, IRA, and your 401k if there's room left in your budget, only then does the regular taxable brokerage account enter the chat. It's not a bad account, it's just last in line because it's the only bucket where the IRS gets to dip its hand in every year you're invested. The order isn't a suggestion, it's a hierarchy. Tax-free growth gets fed first, the IRS gets fed last. And once those buckets are full, the real question becomes, full of what exactly? What you actually put inside those accounts is where most people accidentally turn investing into a casino. They open a brokerage app, see a stock that's up 40% this month, and buy it like they're picking a winning lottery ticket instead of building a portfolio. That single stock is one company, one CEO's bad week away from wiping out a chunk of your future. And betting your retirement on one company is less investing and more very expensive hobby. Enter diversification, the financial version of not putting all your eggs in one extremely fragile basket. A broad index fund, something like a total market or S&P 500 fund, is effectively owning a tiny sliver of hundreds or thousands of companies at once. If one company implodes, you barely feel it, because you're not riding one horse, you're betting on the entire racetrack staying in business. Boring, unflashy. Statistically, it beats most people who try to outsmart it, including the professionals who do this for a living. Picture your portfolio as a recipe, not a single ingredient. Stocks are the heat. They cook fast, they're volatile, but they're where the real growth happens over decades. Bonds are the slow simmer, steadier, less exciting, there to keep the whole pot from boiling over when the market panics. Your mix between the two depends on your age and stomach for chaos. Younger investors can lean almost entirely on stocks because time smooths out the dips, while someone closer to retirement wants more bonds because there's less time to recover from a bad year. Let's put a number on it. Invest $300 a month into a diversified index fund starting at 25, averaging 7% a year, and by 60, you're sitting on roughly $610,000, built from contributions of barely $126,000 total. The rest, nearly $500,000, is just time and compounding doing the heavy lifting while you went about your life completely unaware it was happening in the background. So here's the full order, stacked top to bottom. Build the emergency fund so you're never a forced seller. Grab the employer match because it's the one guaranteed win in this entire game. Kill any debt above 7-8% before it eats your returns alive. Fill the tax-advantaged buckets before the taxable ones, and diversify instead of gambling on a single company's mood swings. Get the order wrong, and you're playing defense your whole life. Get it right, and the money basically starts making more money without asking your permission anymore.